I learned from my mother when they said to her at the M&M cafeteria, Mamie, I'm so sorry. You, you, you can't do this work anymore. Being on your feet all day long. I know you're giving it your best effort. But Mr. Morrison, who loved Mama very much, it's just too much for you now. And he gave her a check, gave her a bonus, and just said, "We're gonna have to replace you." And I learned something from my mother when she came home. She was ironing, and she sang to herself. My mother used to sing at nightclubs, but this one song when she was ironing and preparing us for school the next day was one of her favorite songs. Fly the ocean in a silver plane, see the jungle when it's wet with rain. Just remember, darling, you belong to me. I used to love to hear her sing that song. She would always sing that while she was ironing. And then she got an idea. She said, wait, I'm not working at the M&M cafeteria anymore, downtown Miami. I can find out neighbors who need some ironing done, and I'll iron for them, and they'll pay me. I'll find neighbors who would like to have a sweet potato pie. I'll bake some sweet potato pies and sell slices of sweet potato pie for a dime or a quarter. I'll cook for them. And so what I learned from Mama, she didn't miss a beat. When you got a goal, when things happen, when there are interruptions, when life has been snatched out from under you, don't miss a beat. Find a way to restart your life. Find a way to do something else. See, one of the things that allowed me to become successful as a speaker, people ask me all the time, and sometimes I would vary how I respond. How did you get here? How'd you overcome the odds? What did you have to do? You know, one of the things I did, and I want you to keep this in mind, be stubborn about your goals, but flexible about your approach. I had people with PhDs and MBAs, and we would walk around this big park in Detroit, talking to each other about our goals and dreams, and something happened. I looked at them because of their credentials, because of their education, because of their college training and corporate experience. And you know something? They quit. You know why? They knew more than me. So sometimes you have to be intelligently ignorant. Based upon the approach that we were using, we failed at making a breakthrough. So they gave themselves a limited time, looking for a sign. If you want to create something, is there something that you want to do? You got to give it some time. A watch pot never boils. You got to give it some time. You've got to be willing to put in the work, and if, particularly in multi-level marketing, you don't want to raise your hand and look to see how well you're doing for a minimum of 2 years. When a home is being built or a building, they spend a lot of time on just the foundation. And so they stopped showing up for our walk. And pretty soon, I found myself walking by myself. Let me share something with you. When you have goals and dreams and you're going in a certain direction, that it's lonely at the top. You're going to find yourself in certain situations by yourself. I can tell you this. They stopped coming out to walk with me, and they went back looking for a job. That was not me. That was not an option for me. That's a non-negotiable. No. I'm going to speak. I'm going to find a way. So you have to be stubborn about your goals and flexible about your approach. And so when it didn't happen as soon as they wanted it to happen, they stopped. I kept going. And that's what you've got to do. Don't stop. Keep going. That's what my mother did. She lost a job at the M&M cafeteria. She couldn't stand on her feet all day long, every day, because of arthritis in her ankles and in her knees. And so she didn't miss a beat. She started ironing and washing our neighbors' clothes and baking sweet potato pies and cooking for some of them. Don't stop. Stay busy. How did you know, Mamie, you can raise 7 children by yourself? I just believed the Lord will make a way somehow. And I'm saying to you, if you keep going, if you keep looking for a way, where there's a will, there's a way. If you keep moving, if you keep falling forward, if you keep getting back up, something's going to happen. Bob Marley said something I like. He said, you never know how strong you are until being strong is all you have. You never know how strong you are until being strong is all you have. It's your only option. And you'll discover, if you don't panic, if you don't run, you'll discover you are stronger than you give yourself credit for being. Don't surrender. Don't give in. Just keep moving forward. Stay busy, moving in the right direction, looking, opening doors, knocking on doors, finding a way out of no way. And here's something else. Because you don't know what to do, so what? Figure it out. Everything that exists, at one time, nobody knew what to do. I remember as a kid, we would say, oh, you got as much chance of doing that as a man going to the moon. To illustrate the impossibility of that. We don't say that now. Somebody figured it out. Somebody said, wait a minute, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. And as you look at yourself, look at your goals, you might be experiencing a big setback. Your business has perhaps been devastated by the coronavirus. You just say, my God, first of all, that's a blow. When you have to let people go and you don't have money to pay the bills because the business has been interrupted. Oh, we can open up and people can come in, or we have to close down. And then you say, wait a minute, opening up, all right, and I want my business, but I'm not willing to die for my business. Got to figure out another way. And this is this place where we are. That many times in life, when you're faced with a God-ordained opportunity, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges, a lot of people give up. They surrender. They run with their tails between their legs. It's a God-ordained opportunity. There are opportunities here in the midst of crises. 3 types of people going to come out of this: millionaires, billionaires, and witnesses, people who stood around and watched. You have something special. You have greatness in you. And whatever, no test, no testimony, whatever is in front of you, you have the power to handle it. But I don't know what to do. Okay, got that. You don't know what to do. Figure it out. You don't have to know what to do. Walk by faith and not by sight. Figure it out. Everything that exists, somebody was willing to put in the energy and the time to figure it out. Everybody. When John F. Kennedy in 1961 called his cabinet And they came in a room and they were going to decide, how can we beat the Russians to the moon? Werner von Braun, one of the most brilliant German scientists of that time, he looked at Werner, what can we do to beat the Russians to the moon? And Werner said 5 things. Everybody was prepared to start typing. This is before computers. Everybody was prepared to take a lot of notes. Everybody was looking for a long lecture that would take hours to determine how much staff and how much money, what the budget will be, what's the process. Everybody was, but they were set up for that. They went there, it was like a retreat, a mastermind.
So life is full of distractions. And so I want you to think about, what are your goals and what is it that you see for yourself in and out of the pandemic? You just saw a video. Here I am, 77, just a few months ago, about 3 months ago, I connected with my birth family, and to see a picture for the first time of my birth mother and father. This thing called life, it's just so unpredictable. And so that in the middle of all the stuff that we have to do, and the things that you have to do in terms of your personal stuff, in terms of your business and the people that's a part of your team, and all of the unexpected distractions that we just don't see coming. This is a very challenging time. And what we have to do and know is, first of all, we have to have a program for ourselves to handle what's going on. And I want you to write this down. When things go wrong, don't go with them, because they're going to go wrong. That's going to happen. And so having a strategy, a game plan, a ritual to train your mind to observe things and not buy into the things that you see, that's major now more than ever. This is no time to lose it. And so when we look at all the conflict and all the things, the confusions and the violence and the spike in suicide and politicians lying out of their necks every day and say, don't believe your lying eyes. You say, come on. This is a different kind of place. And so this is a time that you have to begin to focus on you. This lady, she was working in hospice and she was interviewing patients who just had a few weeks to live, about 2 months to 3 months. And she asked them, what do you regret about your life? And the majority of them said that I wasn't true to myself. That I wish that I had done the things that had been true to me. It's been said that most people die unlived lives. They die a life that's not them. And so I started examining, where am I now and what am I to do with what I'm going through, just with one of my children who's bipolar schizophrenic. How do I handle that? I call FAF and say, hey, I need some help. Do you know anybody that can help me? Because here I am, can motivate people around the world, and my son, look like I made him by myself, can't hear my voice. So that's very challenging, and it's very humbling. So part of what I want to share with you, develop a ritual for you. I'm the fix-it person, but I had to begin to anchor myself in the words, Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I can't change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And if that wasn't enough, I'm at Cancer Centers of America last week, and they said, Mr. Brown, we know we gave you the Perseverance Award for 29-year prostate cancer conqueror. but we see something here, because I just said, let me just check myself out and see how things are going. And they said, your white blood cells are low. We've not seen this. And I remember reading a book called Who's the Matter with Me? And what I realized, that the shift that has taken place in my health that I'm now proactively dealing with, it is a result of stress, that I was allowing the stress, dealing with my son, dealing with the business and all my children, and all of the things that I just have to deal with. No, excuse me, not have to deal with, that I get to deal with. I want you to write this down. Operation Clean Slate. Come on, somebody. Well, I'm coming for you right now. I started saying, wait a minute. A lot of stuff that I had on my plate, it wasn't my stuff. And so I decided Operation Clean Slate. I started getting stuff off my plate, my children, my brothers and my sisters and friends. My mother had a sign, my adopted mother had a sign on her mirror, and it read, oh Lord, help me keep my nose out of other people's business. Now I understand. I want you to write this down. We live our lives forward, but we understand it looking backwards. Now I understand what Mama meant, because I was putting my nose in a lot of business that was not my business. Operation Clean Slate. So you have to sometimes stop, look, and make an assessment and ask the question, what am I to do with this? Where am I going? What's going on with me? Who am I really? Who have I been being? And I have been being Superman or Mighty Mouse. Here I come to save the day. It's Mighty Mouse. He's on his way. I said, no, I resign. I can't even call Superman to help me out. You know why? Because they eliminated the telephone booths. He can't even change clothes. I told him not to remove those telephone booths. He's not gonna risk being arrested for indecent exposure, taking off his clothes in a telephone booth. Now that's not an option. So, so here we are. And we have to deal with this stuff. And so number one, you gotta be true to yourself. You gotta have a ritual to take care of yourself. And you know this, and it's very important. And sometimes we need to be reminded of what we know. I'm getting still, and I'm reading the Bible, the Torah, the Kabbalah, the Holy Quran. I'm reading everything. When they said, Mr. Brown, your PSA, which stands for prostate specific antigen 2,400. Wow. And I say, whoa. But guess what? I got it down. I got it down to below 0. Then it went up to 4. And so I'm working on it again. But what I know is I'm minimizing the stress in my life that I brought into my life. I take responsibility for where I am and this situation. That's an opportunity to prove my discipline and my commitment of making choices that I would be here, and at 77, making the rest of my life the best of my life. And I know that many of you have decided in this mastermind, that's where you are. And because we can't do it by ourselves. And so building mental resolve. I get up early in the morning, listening to things to fortify me, to begin to strengthen myself mentally and emotionally and spiritually. Here's something else. As you begin to dig in and start thinking your life, rethinking it and looking at yourself, why is that important? Because this is a new space that requires a new skill set. Einstein said, the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. And so Les Brown had to say to himself, hey, look here, If you do the same thing that got you here, that won't serve you in this new space where we are. So self-awareness is very important. Am I being me? Am I being true to myself? Am I doing the things that I need to do to keep myself on the path, to do the things that as I go forward, where I am an asset to my family and not a liability? Here's something else. Whatever your goal and dream is, I can share with you based upon my experience, it's possible and it's necessary. You got to decide, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this happen. But not just that, but also who you have to be in order to do that. Because at the end of the day, and you know this, being with Fab, that people don't live life as it is. You live life as you are. If you're not playing with a full deck, if you are not getting a full night's sleep, if you don't have the clarity of mind to make good decisions that will serve you and your team and your family, that's going to be challenging. You become a liability. As Jim Rohn said, is your life a warning or is it an example? A warning of not to do or an example of what to do? So taking care of yourself. And I want you to write this down. Live your life, and this is where I am. And I really want you to put this someplace that you can see it. Live your life the way that you want to lead your life. I was talking to a room of entrepreneurs, and I asked them, if you knew you had just a few weeks to live, what would you do differently? And I was surprised that the majority said, I would quit my business, and they start thinking about things that they were going to do. And here's what was fascinating. There's a young lady in there named Pauline Ahi. Pauline was born with no arms and no legs. And so as I was passing her table in this training I was doing, someone said, did you hear what Les said? Write down the things that you would do differently if you knew you just had a few weeks to live. She said, yes, I heard him. And what most of them did at the table, they talked about quitting their business and start traveling and just doing a variety of things. And what she said, I would continue to be me. And when they heard her say that, these people who had written out all the things that they had taken on and all the things that they said that they would step away from, they began to rethink themselves. And I asked also the second follow-up question, what are the biggest challenges that you're facing right now? Pauline did not have one thing on her paper. No arms, no legs, married with children. And they asked, you gotta have some problem. You don't have no arms. You don't have no legs. That's gotta be very challenging. He said, I don't have no challenge. I find a way to live life on my terms. Whoa. That's major. She said, I've set my life up, my environment, the people in my life, the things that I'm doing. There's nothing that I'm doing that's outside of what I want to do. I'm doing the stuff that's me. I'm being true to me. That's some lesson in that. See, if I knew I had a few weeks to live, I'd do more Zooms and give more motivational speeches. I told my kids that they tell you I'm dead, don't let them embalm me for 3 days. Sneak in there and put a microphone in my head and my hand in the morgue. And if I don't grab it and say, you gotta be hungry, you call your brothers and sisters and say, Dad's gone. Yeah, and if my casket give me a microphone or some Colonel Sanders chicken, I'll be fine. This thing called life. So just determining, who are you now? And who is it you need to be for this vision that you see of yourself? Because life is very challenging. It's sometimes up, sometimes down. Sometimes things go well, and sometimes they don't go so well. It's a roller coaster. And so be true to you and decide the things that you envision for yourself, the reason that you're there, the goals that you've set, the relationships that you're building. Make sure that it represents who you are and the things that you envision. You got to have a mindset that I'm going to do this, just like we got started out. Some stuff happened. It's called life. Think it not strange that you're faced the fiery furnaces of this world. You will, not you might. You will have tribulations. Here's something else. Determine what is it that you really want. That's major. What do I really want? And when I started practicing, and I got this from a friend of mine, business partner, Celeste Johnson, Operation Clean Slate, I took a lot of things off my plate, and I'm focusing on doing those things that's in my heart. Where your heart is, there your treasure is also. Spending more time with my children and my grandchildren and my 4 great-grandsons. And so when you look at the things that you want, creating special moments, it's been said is not the number of breaths that you take, but the number of breaths that takes, the number of moments that you create that takes your breath away. And that's what I'm looking at and focusing on. I remember when I read this article about Howard Hughes, who at that time was the wealthiest man in the world, and they were trying to rush him someplace on an airplane, and he died. And someone asked the question, how much did he leave? And somebody answered, all of it. And so when we look at ourselves, we got to ask, what's really important? Making a decision, and this time that you're there to rethink your life. What's necessary for you that you want to do before you check out? I remember being at Caesar's Palace, and Frank Sinatra was at a table seated next to me, and at that time I was married to Gladys Knight. I was the conductor of the midnight train. Come on now. I was one of the pips. I was the conductor. Come on. And I heard him say to a young man, live each day as if it were your last, because one day it will be. And so, and I want you to write this down. And this is a biggie for me right now. A friend of mine, Samantha, and I said, how you doing? And she sounded so bubbly and so happy. I say, what's going on with you? Why are you so bubbly and happy? And I haven't seen you in a minute. She said, well, the reason I am, and I'm like this every day. And I said, why? She said, this is a non-refundable day. Whoa. I don't have the time to be depressed and stressed out. It's non-refundable. I'm going to make the best of it. I hear you talking about making the rest of your life the best of your life. She said, that's real, because each moment, each day is non-refundable. I reminded myself that every hour, the time that I invest, the conversations that I have. I won't take a phone call unless it's positive, unless it's purposeful, unless it's productive, unless it's going in the direction of where I'm going. I'm not just going to give my time away. I'm 77. No, homie ain't playing that. I'm going to leave my life the way I wanted to do something more meaningful and make a greater impact. I still have some more in me. Simba, you're more than that which you have become. I still believe, and I'm sure some of you believe, that you still have some more in you, that the best is yet to come. Here's something else. Your why. What has driven me and caused me to become the person that I am was I wanted to take care of my adopted mother. You know, my birth mother, she gave me life, but my adopted mother, she taught me how to live life. I feel like Abraham Lincoln has said, all that I have and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. And Mama, she was always engaged in life. She was always looking for ways that she could do something differently. It was not unusual for us to come home and Mama, as small as our house was, that she had reconfigured the furniture in the house. And I remember one time coming home and there was a big window in the living room leaning up against the wall. And I said, Mama, why do you have this window here? Well, they tore this house down and you say you're gonna get me a home. Well, I got this window, so if you're gonna build me a home, I got a window that could fit. I said, no, man, I'm not gonna buy a home that don't have windows in every room. Come on. And she most certainly accelerated me to getting the home that I promised her that I would get for her. But she had the vision saying, I'm going to participate in this and what you're going to do. I'm going to do my part. And so what reason you're here, you've decided, hey, I got something else I want to do. You've got some bigger goals that you want to achieve. And write this down. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. I got 3 brothers, 2 that I didn't know. And they look at me and say, whoa, how is it possible? You're just like our birth mother and you didn't know her, and our grandmother, and you didn't know either one, didn't see them. How is it possible? And you're just like them. And the reason is, one, they didn't have any goals beyond their comfort zone and still don't. And they're fine with that. And that's okay. And the other thing is that people say, well, it's in your genes. No. I remember spending a whole day with Maya Angelou, and Maya Angelou said, it aggravates me when people say I'm a natural communicator. She said, show me a natural heart surgeon. She said, no, I'm trained. And so if they put in the effort and the time like you're doing to get training and upgrade my knowledge, my relationships, expand my vision and dreams, I would be living just a non-consequential life. I didn't want that. The reason you're there, that you want to make a greater impact with your business, with the people that you're working with, to bring out the best in them, but also be the model, not just the messenger, but the message that you want to bring out the best in yourself, to challenge yourself. Iron sharpening iron. That's why you're there, creating collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. That's why you're there. You know there's something in you that says, this is not just it for me. There is more for me. People can be distracted by what's going on in Ukraine, by what's going on with the virus. But as for me, I know that this is my life right now. There is no duplicate, and I want to maximize it. Give yourselves a round of applause for reaching for your greatness. Do that right now. If there's something in your heart that you want to do, listen to me. Do it now. Miles Monroe, let me tell you, one of the most profound statements I enjoyed hearing him say, rob the cemetery of your gifts, of your dreams, of your talents, of your art, of your book, of your leadership. Rob the cemetery. Don't take that stuff with you to the grave. God didn't choose you out of 400 million people to just come here, pay bills, die, and take that stuff with you. No. You are here for a purpose, to make the world a better place, to do the greater work. So you got to get an attitude, because in order to live your dreams, you've got to be focused, clear what you want, and you got to take action. I was clear. This is what I'm going to do to take care of my mother. This is how I'm going to generate the money to do this. I knew working a job wouldn't do it, wouldn't get it. 95% of people who filed bankruptcy last year did so because of medical expenses. So I wanted to do something that was me, and I'm encouraging you to you to do the same thing. Do something that's you, something that you enjoy, something that excites you when you think about it. When I get up in the morning, I say, all things work together for good for those who love God and for those who are called according to his purpose. And Lord, whatever I face today, together you and I can handle it. And then I start smiling. I say, I'm going to motivate some people today up in here, up in here. I'm going to be calling out the hungry ones. I'm coming for you. If you're hungry, I'm coming for you. Oh my goodness. Why? I enjoy being around hungry people. They are so creative. They're relentless. They just won't take no for an answer. There's a guy that's been pursuing me. He said, Mr. Butterball, I texted him back. This is Les Brown. He said, you are my Mr. Butterball. I want you to know I'm hungry. And every time you look around, I'm going to be there looking at you. It's okay. Take some action. But I could have waited and said, well, let me find some things that I can do to get the money so that I can fly. No. George Washington Carver said, do what you can where you are and what you have and never be satisfied. And he was right. If I couldn't afford to do it, I couldn't afford not to do it. I couldn't afford not to invest in myself and tell people you need to invest in yourself. I could not afford to tell people, oh, you need to do something that's beyond your comfort zone and you'll discover a part of yourself that you don't know right now if I wasn't willing to be a make it happen person. I'm going to teach people how to make it happen, and I wasn't making it happen. And I did it. I made it happen. I did a little fundraising. I had beard whisk parties. And oh my goodness, I had card game parties. I mean, when I think about it, I sold some of my mama's sweet potato pie. I was selling those, and I would tell people what I wanted to do. They say, here, Les, here. I have a friend named Madeline Haddock. And when I went back to Miami, she's the first person that contributed to my efforts, to my dream of what I wanted to do, the impact that I wanted to make. Madeline Haddock, I talked to her the other day, and we're still friends after all these years. I called her, I said, what made you do that? You didn't know me. She said, I just felt that you had something. And I decided to invest in you. See, when you make the commitment to do something, don't worry about it. Oh, I don't have the money. Don't worry. Somebody, if you're committed and you do what you're supposed to do, you do what you are called to do, somebody will invest in you. Mary McLeod Bethune was on Daytona Beach and singing with some kids, including her kids. She was directing them. She was raising funds for the college that she envisioned for African Americans during that time, because we didn't have a college. And somebody heard her and said, tell me about this school you want to build. And she took him out to the Daytona city dump, where the city fathers gave her this dump for $3 to build her college, Bethune-Cookman College. But it wasn't there yet. It was just in her mind. And this man walked out there in the middle of the night, and both of them being stung by mosquitoes. And she said, over here will be the dormitory, and over here, this will be where the band will be, and over here, this will be the academic buildings. And when she finished, and this man became one of her donors, that man who saw her and shared her vision, and she spoke very well. That man was Mr. Singer of Singer Sewing Machines. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Millennials never heard of Singer Sewing Machines, but he was a very wealthy man. And so this is what you have to do, is do what you can do with what you have, and always find ways in which you can improve on that, because you don't know who's watching you. I made the commitment that I was going to do it,
And I did it. Now here's something else. This is key. This is key. Look at the people that you communicate with most, family members and friends. Look around at the people in your life, people who call you the most, people that you talk to the most. And if they don't inspire you and they're in your inner circle, you have created a cage for yourself. What do you mean by that? You earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. You want to have an inner circle of people that when you look at them, you are inspired. When you look at them, you get fired up, okay? But if you are surrounded by people that's on your level or below, you're restricting yourself. People rub off on you. Sidney Poitier, please come forward. I love his book, The Measure of a Man. He said, when you go for a walk with someone, something happens. Either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. Whose pace have you adjusted to? I can't say that enough. Whose pace have you adjusted to? You survived the coronavirus and you're still here? 400,000 people gone? You are here. You've been chosen to do the greater work. And so get some help. If you know how to do it, you would have done it by now. And get some help from somebody that's accomplished, somebody that's achievement driven, someone that inspires you. When I saw Mike Williams, he wrote the book, The Road to Your Best Stuff. The Road to Your Best Stuff, get it. I wrote the foreword for it. I was inspired by him. I wanted to have him around me. And so I hired him as my news director when I was at WVKO radio station in Columbus, Ohio. So I can be around him, and he talked to me between records and changed my mindset of seeing myself entertaining people. I was hungry. I was bad, baby. They called me Les Brown, the man about town. Hello. He said, Brownie, between records, you can do more than that. Brownie, that microphone you got, it can be used to just entertain people. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can educate people too. I said, I can? Yeah. About things that's going on in the community. In fact, you have a responsibility to do that, man. People listen to you. Whoa. That relationship inspired me to go from just being a disc jockey to being a commentator, to becoming a community activist, to running for the Ohio legislature. See, you want relationships that inspire you. You become a part of our community, you will become inspired. You won't settle for being an average person. If anybody didn't tell you, average is over. Did you get the memo? Hello, average is over. Hello, average is over. Yes. People who don't know that average is over, they have skinny children. No. You have greatness in you. And you want to be in an environment that inspires that greatness, that brings it out, that challenges you, that introduces you to a part of yourself that you don't know right now. You can't see the picture when you're in the frame. You're not listening to me by accident. This is a God moment. Everything I'm saying, you already know it. It's already in you. It's common sense, but not common practice. And what Corona has done is served notice. Hey, you're going to leave here one day. Nobody's figured out how to get out of life alive. Live life while you can, manifesting your greatness in all the dimensions of your life. Yeah, that's how to go out. This is the time for self-awareness. This is the time saying, speak, Lord, thy servant heareth thee. Talk to me. There's something I'm supposed to do. If you're struggling and going through a tough time right now, say, look, you didn't bring me through this period where we are just to be stuck. I need you to deliver some angels to help liberate me. I need some insight. I need a revelation. I need you to talk to me. I'm quiet. I'm getting still. Speak to me. See, this is a time. But most people are so caught up in the distractions. You want to be productive. Keep thine eyes single. You want to be actively engaged to doing something great with your life. That's where we are. This space here, the fact that you're not a number of those people, and my heart goes out to them and their families, of that 400,000 that's out of here, you are still here to help some people. I've been dealing with fourth stage cancer for years. I'm helping people who are struggling with cancer to let them know it's not a death sentence. Doctors determine the diagnosis. God determines the prognosis. And so when they see me still actively engaged, I'm still here for people my age that's in their 70s that say, whoa, this guy's still active. This guy is still living and doing things and making a difference and building a legacy and living a life that will outlive him. Engage with his children and not calling them for car gas money or, okay, can you all let me hold a little something. He's still making an impact, living a life that will outlive him. And so they say, wait a minute, I want to do something too. I got some stuff in me. I've got some ideas in me. I've got some inventions in me. And you do. Bring them out. Bring them out. This, you have to, sometimes you have to grab yourself in the collar and say, come on, get serious. Michael Jackson was right. You got to look at that man or that woman in the mirror and say, hey, get serious. You've been seriously not serious. You've been wasting valuable time. Get serious and take control of yourself. You don't have the luxury of being reckless or procrastinating or putting things off or being intimidated by fear or being depressed. Come on, snap out of it. You got work to do, the greater work. Yes, you do. That's why you're listening to me. The ones who don't have the greater work, they're watching Mike Tyson and different people he used to beat up all the time. That's stimulating. Or those who are waiting for a stimulus check. $600? $2,600 if they had $2,000 to it? Is that stimulating? Is it stimulating and the money's already spent? Wow. Don't take much of you, huh? $2,600? My bills will say, are you kidding me? Do you have any more jokes? Did you send us to cover your bills? To cover, you got 10 children, yes. Why? The Lord said, be fruitful and multiply. Okay. How many grandchildren you got? 15? You got 15 grandchildren? Yes, sir. And got any great-grandchildren? Yeah. How many you got? I got 4 great-grandsons. George Bernard Shaw said we should establish a tribunal where people would have to come once a year to give some justification why they should be allowed to live for another year. Let me ask you this. Yes, sir. Why should you be allowed to live for another year? What's going to be different? Do you have liabilities or are you building a legacy? What's going to be different if you're allowed to live for another year? Hey, wake up, wake up, wake up. You 75. What's going to be different? You got any bills?
Yeah. If you died right now, will people have to do a GoFundMe to bury you? Yeah. Speak up. Yeah. Okay. Why should you be allowed to live another year? Oh, I love the Lord. Oh, you love the Lord. Whoa, what a revelation. Yep, you didn't make the cut. See you, wouldn't want to be you. He's on today. He's on today. He's on fire. You know, have you ever looked at some people and say, I wonder why they're still here. There's some good people gone. Good people gone out of here. And this one over here ain't doing nothing. I don't understand. This thing's called, you know, we're not supposed to question God, but he said, in all thy getting, get some understanding. Well, Lord, I'm not questioning you, but I just want to get some understanding. Oh, behave. Hello? This thing, it's called, this thing called life. Ooh.